Copyrighted.
Yeah, you should start talking. You should start talking right now.
We're definitely over the 30-second limit.
Welcome, one and all, to this very second best episode of Smirk Not Work, where we talk about games, comics, and movies. With me here is LT from NYC,
That's me.
and I got Taylor here from Canada. What's happening, guys?
No dude about it.
No,
I thought he
dude,
was
but
from Canada. That's what we
Yeah.
said last week. Wasn't he from Canada?
yeah, I
Yeah.
said Canada.
Canada.
It's the proper pronunciation.
It's
Okay.
the British pronunciation.
See, when
I
you have
understand.
someone as colorful and as foreign as Canada, you have to enunciate every little word or every little letter.
I completely understand and agree.
I might as well be on the moon to you Americans. So
Yeah, man. If anything, like being from Michigan, I'm about as Canadian as an American can get.
yep. You know about the Peace Bridge, and
Oh, yep.
did you
I
go to
don't know,
Windsor
man.
to drink?
No, no, I don't do that. But
Those Texans seem pretty worldly. I don't know.
it seems pretty worldly. All right, guys. Well, what's been going on? What you guys been playing? What you guys been reading, watching?
Halo all the way.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to go to read the rest of the Moon Knight series, but every time I look at my phone, I see the time and I say, "Oh, there's only so many hours I can play Halo right now." Even though I'm looking at that Marvel Unlimited app on my phone at the same time, I choose Halo. It's a sickness, I believe, at this point.
Yeah, it's really weird with Marvel Unlimited and basically any service where you just get a bunch of stuff for a monthly fee. I just kind of look at it sometimes in kind of in a daunting way. Like I don't even know where to start with
Yeah.
all this stuff.
Like you spend half your time on Netflix looking for something to watch as
Yeah,
opposed to watching something.
like
Yeah.
I remember before Netflix was the online streaming part was really popular. You watch anything really. I mean, not anything, but it was. I guess movies meant a little bit more to me anyway than having basically all movies that have ever come out available to me at any time. It's kind of lost a little bit of its luster, huh? But
I can watch all of cinematic history from my couch.
I would rather play games. Like that's so crazy. Like
Sounds horrible.
even like 20 years ago, if someone would have told you like, yeah, you can watch anything you want right now,
Yeah.
be like, well, that's a miracle, right?
Yeah.
That's a miracle.
And now we get upset when it buffers for about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But I want it now.
Yeah. No, we've become pretty impatient. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of which, what you been up to, Taylor? I really want to know.
Uh,
Please tell me.
I've been continuing playing Rainbow Six Siege. I've put many hours into that game recently, and yeah, it's been about it. I watched a excellent movie, Ex Machina. It actually won the Oscar for best visual effects,
Oh yeah.
and it's about like basically artificial intelligence and the Turington test, and it has Oscar Isaac from that little indie film Force Awakens. You
What's
may
it
have
called?
heard of it. Yeah, Force Ex Machina
No, the other
is the
one.
movie. Oh, Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
Is that about the cowboy who? No, no,
Wasn't
that's
it?
not it.
There was a movie that came out, The Force Awakens. Awakens. Is this a similar situation as Canada? I'm
Yeah,
really
Maybe.
confused at this point.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's the foreign interpretation.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
see.
It's my accent.
But
What
yeah.
about you, Club? I want to hear it, Club.
Oh man, I spent the entire weekend just watching movies. It was one of those weird weekends where I don't really remember it all that well, even though
10 seconds after, you're like, "The movies don't mean so much to me. What'd you do this weekend? I watched movies all week."
no, I don't. I never said they don't mean anything or they don't mean it. I just mean I think I not enjoyed them more, but I guess I don't know. When I watched a movie, it was like a full-on experience.
An event.
That was more of an event, and where now I just streamed a bunch of movies over the weekend, and I don't really remember the middle parts all that much because I was
Wow.
like in and out. But I watched Man on Fire with Denzel Washington.
Oh yeah.
It was the first time I've seen that movie. That movie's pretty good. I'm not really a fan of. I don't know if you guys have seen it or remember it all that well, but
Hmm.
there's a lot of points in that movie where the camera does some pretty weird stuff. Like it gets really jittery and
I remember.
yeah, it's. I mean the that part of it kind of threw me off. I mean at the start of the movie I liked it, but towards the end I was kind of getting sick of it. But the story was really good. Obviously Denzel was amazing in it. But
There was a lot of fire, and it wasn't just like bullshit title. There was a lot of fire in that movie, from what I remember, right?
like literal fire, yeah,
Like actual fire. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. No, I mean it was a really cool movie. It was a really interesting story. Uh, you know how at the end, spoilers for Man on Fire that came out a long time ago,
Boo.
but at the end where he gets the girl back, the little girl back. Uh, I don't. I think it would have been a more interesting story if they would have just kept her dead. Because in the middle of that movie, I mean, you think
Good
she's
God, man.
well. Okay, no, just hear me out. Because
How old
I,
was this little girl?
Yeah.
she was okay. She was pretty little, but I'm just saying from a film standpoint. To
You're a
to
monster.
just listen to me, okay? Just listen to me. When at the end, they get her back. I think it would have been more interesting from a film standpoint. I think they would have had a lot more balls to just say, no, she's actually dead, and this is just a revenge story, and not just have
Mm.
like a happy
Yeah,
ending.
because don't they play it off like they killed her at one point, if
Yeah.
I remember correctly?
Oh
Like,
no, throughout the movie, yeah.
yeah.
Huh.
But I don't know. I think it would have been interesting to see that. But I mean, what can I say? It was a great movie, and I mean, I really enjoyed it. But I also watched Training Day with Denzel
Mm.
Washington. I'm a
You're a
huge
Denzel
Denzel fan.
I'm
fix.
Because the weekend before that, I also watched The Equalizer with Denzel. So I don't know.
yeah,
I guess I'm on a
and
kick.
and Inside Man just recently.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I watched Inside Man.
Yeah.
But all of them great movies. But what I thought was really cool was I started watching this new miniseries that Hulu Originals are doing called, I think it's 11/22/63. I could be wrong about the actual date, but it's like it's a James Franco miniseries with it's like based on a Stephen King novel about a guy who goes back in time to try and stop the John F. Kennedy assassination,
Hmm.
and it's really really good because it's like a whole man out of time thing, but it's not really played up and really cliche. It's actually really really well written, obviously because it's adapted from a Stephen King novel. Um, but if you have Hulu, I'd definitely check that out. It's really really good. There's a lot of neat branching paths it goes off with this character being stuck, and they kind of use the past as a character in and of itself, um,
Okay. Hmm.
because the past doesn't want to be changed, and it fights him back in really really interesting ways. I won't spoil too much because it's still airing right now, but
Will they get an Emmy for best set direction and costumes?
uh, I mean there's always a chance. I mean that'd be cool because it's all '60s kind of stuff usually, but yeah, that was pretty much it. And other than that, I just played Rainbow Six and I'm
Fun weekend. I like
anxiously
it.
awaiting the Division,
Yep.
which is
Oh, that's
When is
that's
that
not on
coming
my
out?
list
uh,
tonight.
tonight. Well, tomorrow by the time this thing
Tomorrow.
gets, or
Oh shit,
today by
for
the time
real?
this
Yeah.
thing gets
Yeah.
uploaded.
So that beta happened already?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they've had
And
like
was it
two or
amazing?
three.
Yeah, I liked it. I enjoyed it. I was sold. That's for sure.
I wouldn't
Nice.
like. I thought it was really good. I thought the social aspects of it were cool.
Hmm.
But like as I was playing it, and I know I'm gonna buy it. So what can I really say? But I think I was expecting a little bit more. I don't. I mean, it was a beta, so what? It's just a beta, and I understand that. But I guess I I was kind of underwhelmed.
Yeah, it's it's hard for a game like that to give more than a slice without giving too much away, too, right? Like,
Oh, for
because
sure.
a lot of those missions are really, sort of story orientated, and they don't want to give too much away, so they just want to give you enough to give you a taste. And I think a lot of it, they were just seeing how people would react to the dark zone and what sort of behaviors they would see there.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, I had a lot of fun in the Dark Zone, and I can't wait to dive more into that and get
Hmm.
get into that gear system, like like that Borderlands style looting
Yep.
and and upgrading and whatnot. But
Hmm.
I'm really looking forward to that. I mean, I'm not trying to be all down. I'm just trying to be have some constructive criticism for it
Oh yeah,
because
yeah, definitely.
especially watching the trailers, and I've noticed this for other Ubisoft games, especially Rainbow Six, was the graphics that they show off in the trailers, like in the reveal trailers, are significantly better than what you get in the product. I mean,
Oh
it's
yeah,
not just
Lame.
like a little bit better like in other games. I mean, it's a lot better. If you look at the
well,
screenshots on
yeah,
the Xbox store, it is
yeah.
not representative of all of what's in that.
Do
It's
they have a little asterisk that says that, like on the very bottom page of whatever thing you got to sign? I'm sure they say shit like that, right?
I'm
Oh
sure they
yeah,
do. But like in other games it's better, but it's
yeah,
not leaps and bounds better.
yeah.
Not
Ubi
like not like
tends to take
Ubisoft.
their screenshots and trailers with like high-end PC systems, maxed out type deal. So
Well, and that
yeah,
was
I
before
agree
they
with you.
downgraded the graphics too, those
Yeah.
screenshots, because they downgraded the graphics before they um, put the beta out.
Yeah, well, and the problem with like these sort of E3 demos that we see and stuff like that, they're called vertical slices basically in programming. And so it doesn't have all the technical requirements that the final product will have, so that the performance can be a lot higher, they can push the resolution a lot higher because it's not running all the systems that are going to be running in the final game. Like the AI might not be up to its full potential. You know, the atmospheric bloom lighting and all those sort of technical terms might not be up to the peak, but they can run it at really high resolution and really show these textures off, basically.
Sure, yeah. I mean, but coming from a gamer, it's like I'm spending $60 on this, and if you're gonna lie to me like that, I haven't
Yeah,
pre-ordered the game yet. I don't want to because I've been
yeah.
burned too many times on pre-orders and stuff that these publishers will force the developers to lie about. And
I think
Hmm.
we all know what the granddaddy of all when it comes to games like that would be. And I think that is a topic for a whole podcast in and of itself. I know you know what I'm talking about. False promises,
oh
high
sure,
hopes,
that's 9
crushing
podcasts,
defeat.
man. That's all gaming is these days is false promises and seeing what they can get
Yeah.
away with without people throwing a fit.
All I'm
Oh, yeah.
saying is that I feel like writing with a permanent marker a little tear on my Master Chief helmet that's sitting by my TV because I wanted to die that night and significantly more nights after that when I realized it's not getting any better.
I know.
But
So
I mean, the division looks great. I'm sure I'll have a lot of fun with it. They recently put out a mission list or a mission count. I think when from some data miners, there's like 27 missions, 26 or 27 missions,
Hmm.
which I don't know how long that those other ones will be, but based on the subway one that we played in the beta
Yeah.
and the hospital one, it should be a good amount of fun. I mean, those missions were fun to replay, especially on harder difficulties. So I'm really looking forward to it, and we'll probably stick with it just because it's a Clancy game, and
Mhm.
Clancy games
Yeah.
are amazing. So
Well, and they're going to be adding basically they call them incursions, but it's going to be like sort of like strikes from Destiny where you have to go and kill a boss, and so it looks like they're going to be adding more content as it's going on too. So more missions and more stuff to do.
yeah, that trailer that they put out for the season pass, which also included some information on the updates that they're going to be doing, uh, seemed pretty cool. I'm not buying the season pass, but it's cool to see where it's going to go. That they're going to support it
Yeah,
that
yeah,
heavily with free
and
updates.
there'll be free content for everyone basically. Yeah, which is great.
Yeah, with a game like that,
Yeah,
for sure, it only helps
yeah.
more than most. All right,
I'm
well,
really excited, and especially this game's been in development for 5 years now. You know, it kept getting pushed back and pushed back,
that's
and
why I'm excited about it. The more I hear
yeah,
something getting pushed back to make, to make it polished, to make it complete in a full game, man, they got my money. And it's been hyped
yeah.
for a long time. I think they really put a lot of effort into it. So I'll definitely give it a shot. But I'm gonna be the guy. It's gonna be like 6 months down the road, and I'm gonna buy Honda's copy for $15 and play with veterans who kick my ass online. So, whatevs. We'll
well,
go back to Halo.
that really kind of hops into Taylor's topic for games this week. Why don't we just start with that, man?
Well, yeah, I want to kind of talk about release dates and having delays and even stuff becoming sort of vaporware.
What?
Um,
Dude, I
yeah, in
did
the
not know that.
last
So
little
funny.
while, we've seen some major delays. I know Caleb, you're upset about Mass Effect Armageddon or
Andromeda.
Andromeda
Yeah.
being delayed until 27 or 2017, and recently, Uncharted was delayed numerous times in its
Hmm.
development, but most recently it was just a little quick 2 week manufacturing delay, like so that they could produce more.
Yeah.
But I think I just kind of want to know your guys' ideas on or thoughts on release dates
Yeah.
and sort of the expectation I think we as gamers put on release dates.
Yeah, definitely. I want to hop right into this because I have some thoughts. Because first of all, last year was basically the best games that should have come out in 2014. I mean, we had Arkham Knight. Wasn't there was a big game that came out last year that was supposed to come out in 2014. It was shoot, totally blanking. Wasn't The Witcher supposed to come out in 2014?
Yeah. Oh
Yeah, The
yeah.
Witcher,
That had
like
been
big
pushed
games
back
like
a couple times.
I mean,
Yeah.
for me, it was Batman because Batman
No,
was really highly
it was a
anticipated
big
by a lot of
one.
people, and myself included. I'm sure you guys, especially LT. I know you're a huge fan of those Batman games.
98th in the world, baby.
That's right, yeah. Um, but in terms of like with release dates and delays and stuff like that, I don't mind the delay so much because I want to get the product that the developers want to put out. You know, they don't. I don't
Mm.
want them to just put out a
Hmm.
shell of a game. You know,
Hmm.
especially with games I like Rainbow Six. That game should have been delayed. That game should not have come out in
Well,
December.
yeah, oh, definitely. That game needed a lot more time to bake and
And as
development.
much fun as I'm having with it, it would have been way better for it to have been delayed. But
Hmm.
the problem I have with delays in general isn't necessarily that I have to wait longer to play it. It's that the announcement of when it's going to come out versus when it actually comes out.
Yeah.
You know, because you say it comes out on a certain day, and I understand things happen. Game development is a very intricate, very complicated process.
A
So
lot of moving parts for
a lot of
sure.
moving parts, but I think the example has already been set for what the future of releases uh, and announcements go is Fallout 4.
Well,
When they announced it at
yeah.
E3, it came out when I said it was going to come out, and it was fairly quickly after.
Yeah, it was only like what, so July, so like 4 months, 5 months from
Yeah,
the time they announced it.
because
Yeah.
they announce something and you get hyped up about it for a couple months, and you're excited to play
Yeah.
it, and you're finding as much information
Hmm.
information as you can, and then it doesn't come out for another year, 2 years, or something like that. And by the time it comes out, you're more relieved than you are excited.
Yeah.
And that's my feeling on it.
There
Well,
is,
and I
yeah. No, I
oh,
gotta agree.
go
There is
ahead.
that kind of like a tipping point right when it gets to the spot where it's that excitement goes to just okay, finally. And there's a balancing act. I'm sure like marketing has stuff to do with that as well to try and find that perfect
Well,
spot to release the game. But what I don't understand about the release dates, why bunch up all of these games around that holiday season?
Christmas.
because
Because
yeah,
every
'cause
single,
that's
I
high
think the
sales.
oh, exactly. But
Yeah.
it's kind of like defeating the purpose with some of them. Rise of Tomb Raider, right? Wasn't a great. It's a great game, is it not? I haven't
I
played
Yeah.
it
have
yet.
not
Oh
played it
yeah.
that much.
I haven't
I
heard any like real negatives though.
yeah, yeah.
But that really just got lost in the mix, if you ask me, when it comes to these
Mhm.
big games.
Mhm.
And I think what really pissed me off over time was that the studios, all right, we got a big sell, Call of Duty, for instance, and Assassin's
Yeah.
Creed.
Yeah.
These are gonna sell. They have like a core base, so every
Well,
single year they had this freaking timing to come out with a game, and
well, it's interesting that you bring up Assassin's Creed because they just recently said that they're pausing this year, that there will be no
Yeah.
yeah,
full installment of
well, good
Assassin's
for
Creed,
them.
which I think it's great. Yeah, I think this series kind of needs to pump the brakes a little bit and
Exactly.
find the fun again.
If only Call of Duty would notice.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I with whenever they annualize a title like that, maybe it's fun for a couple of years, but I like in terms of Assassin's Creed, I only
Yeah.
played the first one. How does that continue to be new and fresh to people?
Was it you
aside
I
from a
tried to play
thematic
with?
change.
Was it you, Club, or was it Rain? I tried to play with online with
It was
Unity.
me. It was me.
Oh my
I was like,
god.
all right, fine. You know what? I like the first Assassin's Creed. I'll do the Unity thing. I had a copy. I didn't have to
Piece of
pay
shit.
for it. We're like, let's do some co-op assassinating. That sounds like fun.
Yeah,
And that
it did.
we don't know how that turned out. So
It sounded like fun. Tasted like shit.
yeah, and for them to say, you know what, we need to take a break.
Yep.
That takes some balls, especially from a company who can rely on something like that.
Yeah.
The most fun I had in that game was just going up to the top perch and looking around because the graphics were outstanding. But if you don't have gameplay to match that, it's all for nothing. Oh
Yep.
man, it pissed me off.
Yeah, it's. But in terms of like release dates and stuff, as long as they set the release date and stick to it, even if it is
Hmm.
a year down the line, I'd rather have that than for them to say we need to delay this and delay this and delay this, because after a certain point, the excitement kind of wears off.
Yeah.
It's
Bingo.
It and it's also depends on, like we're looking at Fallout 4, which is a very established AAA franchise, right? Like just the name alone, Fallout's going to sell units,
oh
right?
yeah,
But when you look at something like The Division, that kind of has to build that sort of hype train up, right? I think they kind of need a bit more of a run up to release to basically start educate people on their product, right? Like
sure,
to what is the division? How do you explain this to people easily, right?
yeah, and I guess that comes from me from the perspective of a pretty hardcore gamer. I play games
Yeah,
every day. I play lots of different stuff. I know what's coming out. I
yeah,
know what I'm excited
yeah.
for. I know what these
You
products
you
are.
read the websites
I'm on Reddit
and
every day. Yeah, it's not
yeah,
I don't
like
I don't know
I'm.
if you know this, Taylor, but he also plays games with my heart every single day.
I do because it's really fun. You're fun to
Now
mess
the
yeah.
with.
world knows.
But yeah, I mean, so that is a really good point. It's good that you said that, because coming from, I mean, anybody who would listen to a gaming podcast is probably going to be pretty aware of what the division is, what all the stuff that's coming out years and years down the line that your average gamer doesn't know about. So
Hmm.
I consider myself the average gamer amongst our troop here, and seeing the updates about how it's being put off and it's delayed, but it's still massively looked forward to, is what's putting me over the edge to even purchasing the game. Otherwise, it's just another first-person shooter. So personally, for me, I'm still excited about the game, even though you guys might be like, all right, it's finally over. It's a little underwhelming. I guess that's the benefit of becoming like a more casual gamer, because I used to be all up in there, just like movies. If I look too much into it, it's just gonna fade away in terms of excitement, but I'm looking forward to it.
sure.
Good,
But one
good.
thing I do want to mention before we uh, potentially go to a different topic here is review embargoes and what that means for the final state of the game,
Yeah.
because uh, the division, and granted it's an online game, so I can kind of understand why they would do this, but they're not turning the servers on until tonight, until the game goes live, which means that reviewers like IGN, GameSpot, they can't review the game beforehand. So people who are excited to play the game can't get fully educated on what the product is actually going to be like. And usually, with a review embargo, means the product is either really, really buggy or something is seriously wrong with it.
Mm,
And
Uh,
it's kind of warning me.
review review embargoes are actually pretty industry standard, regardless of the sort of the title. But yeah, it's definitely, well, it's hard to sort of truly get a look at a game like the Division, where it's like massively online. It's supposed to be the shared world experience, right? Without a proper population, right? Like,
Sure.
so I can kind of understand in that sense. So that's for sure.
but
Yeah.
when you say that they're standard, are you talking about in terms of timing? Like for instance, some movies get screened for critics like weeks in advance, and other times they don't get screened at all, and they
Hmm.
kind of worry that that's going to affect sales in terms of negative reviews and all that. So are you saying that
Yeah.
the standard is the timing before a game comes out? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, exactly. That
Oh,
the
so it's all the
embargo
same?
usually, no more than 2 days out from the release of the game. So
Huh? I didn't know that.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I had mentioned I understand because it is such a heavily online focused game, is that they would have to do something like that and keep people from playing it early when they're not supposed to. Like if someone's going to pirate it or get an early copy or something like that. But
Well,
it's
is that
just
the only reason? Like, because that's not much of a separation in terms of movies either. Because the people upload and take those screeners and
sure.
put it online just like they would a game. So I wonder why one is standard and the other one isn't.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't the gaming industry making as much as the movie industry these days, if not more?
Probably way
It's
more.
more.
I
It's
would say
actually making
More,
more.
right?
I would
Yeah.
say
Oh yeah.
way
It's
So,
more.
definitely more.
so you would think that they wouldn't have any problems having that review embargo lifted, let's say a month in advance, to generate that hype and put up the billboards and this and that, just like a movie would.
Yeah,
A
What's
but
month
wrong?
would be
What's
a
up
game
with
long
that?
time
game
for a game though.
development kind of works a little bit different than that, right? Like especially now with these online consoles, the idea of a day one patch is commonplace, right?
Right, right,
And
right.
so to do a review a month out while they're still actively developing the game
Hmm.
sometimes would shoot themselves in the foot.
Well, therein lies a little bit more sense to put into the timing of release dates and all that.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
let's say they shot for 2 months in advance, knowing that, or 2 months out, instead of a game saying they're going to come out in October, they say it's coming out in December, knowing the game's going to be done in October for the reviews, for the positivity, for the hype.
yeah,
That might be a better way to go in the future. We shall see.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a tricky situation considering that there are so many moving parts to that. But
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
I would say for anybody who's looking forward to the division, maybe give it a day. I might give it a day, just to see what the actual state of the game is. We don't want a MCC mess because I think that was the worst launch that
Yeah.
I've ever witnessed and been
Did
a big
someone
part
say
in.
MCC?
Oh yeah.
That
Oh,
means
yeah.
I'm loading up my rifle right now. Maybe we should change topics because I brought
Yeah.
it up earlier as well. I'm shaking now.
All
Yeah.
right, sure. All right, well, you guys want to hop into movies? Want to talk some movies?
I like
Sure.
movies.
All right. Well, later actually, let's talk about TV shows too because there's two things I'm looking forward to this month. First of all, is the Daredevil second season
Yeah.
coming to Netflix. Been catching up on some Daredevil comics and Batman versus Superman. Um,
Oh shit.
so
What's the release date? Remind me of the release dates for both of those again.
March 18th for Daredevil and March 25th for Batman Superman.
Holy shit. That's
Yeah,
a badass week right there.
it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. But I do want to get your guys' opinion on Batman Superman because there's been some controversy revolving around the trailers and how much they're giving away, and I just want to know where do you guys stand with trailers for movies and you know keeping Batman Superman
Oh
at the
man.
forefront.
Well, there's definitely a theme today's podcast, that's for sure. Again, well, I think look at the rise of trailers in the last 5-10 years, how
Yeah.
important to marketing they've become, right? Like that tells you just how much importance are being placed on it for the studios, right? Like trailers can make or break the movie, right?
Oh sure.
You gotta remember even earlier than that, the trailers from the 70s. Holy shit, that's here's 10 minutes of the movie. Make up your mind.
Yeah,
It's like, wait a minute. And now they're like these little TV spots, 15 seconds, 30 seconds. I
yeah.
mean, those were some long drawn out trailers back in the day.
Oh
The
yeah.
trailer for Predator even. You know who was gonna die and in what order. It's ridiculous. My
Yeah.
God.
I
But
don't.
trailers nowadays they're still very formulaic, and I think
Yeah.
it's pretty funny when it comes down to, all right, music's gonna stop. Here comes the joke, or here's the Inception tone. Boom.
Oh
Big
yeah.
vibration. I mean, it's pretty much every single trailer these days, man. We gotta
Yeah.
crack it.
Yeah.
Yep.
If only it didn't work, then people would change.
Exactly.
Well, now we have like teaser trailers that release the date for the trailer that's coming out. Like
Yeah.
it's getting to be a bit much, right? Like
I don't know. With whoever did the Deadpool marketing, if they could just do every other movie to ever come out in existence, that would be amazing because they
definitely.
did a genius move.
I think
with
I
that
saw a
movie.
picture of them. There's like 50 people sitting around the table. God damn.
Yeah,
That's a lot of marketing, folks.
from my understanding, movies pretty much spend half or as
Yep.
much as it costs to make the movie on
Yep.
marketing.
That is
Oh yeah.
sick.
It's crazy. But
That's sick. Wow.
for Batman Superman, as I'm sure you're both aware, in the one of the more recent trailers that came out, they showed Wonder Woman and Doomsday and a bunch of stuff
The
that
Omega symbol too.
just oh really? I never noticed
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Jeez. Well, herein lies the problem is, and I know anybody who's read a comic book where it shows two heroes about to fight each other, there is always a bad guy at the end. It's never they never ended on those two heroes fighting and one coming out on top. You
Mm-hmm.
know, eventually there's a bigger threat, and I knew that going into Batman Superman. And I knew watching the trailer, okay, yeah, it's going to be a Batman Superman fight, and there's probably going to be, a bigger threat in the movie, but they're not going to show it in the trailer. Um, but when they showed off Doomsday, and they showed off exactly what he's going to look like, and how he's going to appear, and how, they basically show in the trailer that Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman are going to team up to fight this guy, and they're going to beat him, and everything's going to be okay. And the Justice League will form, and they'll kick Green Lantern in the nuts, and then they'll be out of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There have been times where trailers have given away a lot, but I've never, I don't remember one where I just sat there realizing while it was happening how disappointing that was to me. Like, you gotta save that or just hold off. I mean,
It was a little much.
oh man, definitely, it was a little much. That went overboard.
Not to say that I'm not looking forward to the movie though, because the
Oh,
action in that I'm sure, will be great. The CGI looks a little wonky, but you know, it, when Batman's flying around, there's like the part in the trailer where he's like grappling, and it just looks super rubbery. And I know
Yeah.
trailers will, like, especially for Iron Man, the Iron Man trailer looked kind of weird, but when the movie came out, it was fine. So,
have you ever seen the guy getting sucked into the jet engine on that battleship? Have you ever seen that clip?
um,
You watch that clip, it's on World's Most Amazing Videos. It was a TV show back in the 90s here in America. And it just showed all these crazy things that have happened in real life. And one dude, this military guy on a jet fighter,
Yeah.
what is it? You know, those giant battleships. I know they have a name.
Aircraft carriers.
Aircraft carrier. He was an aircraft carrier runway dude. And jet engine was on, and he didn't take the right, step and went right in front
Path.
of the
Yeah.
jet engine and sucked him in and tore him up. For some, I don't know how, but the guy lived. But the bottom line is that he looked like a cartoon, like that rubberized grappling, like Jim Carrey in The Mask, like looking like Gumby. That's what this guy looked like in real life. There's video of it,
that
and
also
so
came out
when
in
I
like the
saw,
'90s.
exactly, yeah, all right. I'm 32. I'm 32.
Yeah,
It's one of those things. Like, it's weird because they're getting better with CG, and
Oh
for
yeah.
some
Sure.
reason, I get a feeling like that may have been half bad CG and half intentional. How it just
Mm.
whipped him away from that beam. So I don't know. We'll see when the final movie comes out.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be great. I've recently actually
Yeah.
been rewatching the Daredevil uh, TV show, and I like how
Nice.
practical that gets. It's not super flashy. I mean, throughout that entire series, the guy isn't even in the Daredevil costume. He's just in the black. He's got the black bandana around his eyes,
Mm.
and it's very, very character oriented, and I really
Mm-hmm.
like that about it. And I think reliance on CG has gotten a little out of hand. I like
Definitely.
CG when it's background and when it's stuff you really wouldn't expect, but
Mm-hmm.
lately I've just been enjoying those kind of more grounded, um, more practical sort of sets. But yeah, the new Daredevil series looks really good. The Punisher is going to be in it, which I'm extremely excited for, and
Mm-hmm.
Elektra. And I don't know, have you guys, you both, I'm sure, watched the season one, right?
Oh
I
yeah.
saw
Definitely.
season one. I saw the trailer for season two. Now, are you talking about the Punisher being the guy from Walking Dead? Is that Punisher?
Oh yeah.
Okay, because I was confused of who that was supposed to be. So now I know. Thank you.
Oh, they hold up like a X-ray, and it's like a huge skull in the shape of like the Punisher symbol.
Hmm.
Huh. I was not paying
Yeah,
attention.
I like the sort of gritty look to the Daredevil too. It was kind of a little darker in tone than a lot of the other sort of Marvel universe stuff.
Yeah, I think they can get away with it because it's on Netflix. It's
Yeah.
not a big movie where a lot more people are gonna potentially watch it.
Yes,
Yeah.
I especially enjoyed Daredevil not looking like Ben Affleck and Elektra not looking like Jennifer Garner. That was
Yeah,
glorious.
that's great. No, actually, now that I think of it, Ryan Reynolds had a pretty good comeback being Daredevil, and Ben Affleck potentially has a good shot at becoming Batman, kind of
Huh.
re- regaining
Full
his
time.
maybe.
That is very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Next thing you know, Ryan Reynolds gonna be waking up in the bed next to Jennifer Lopez,
you never
staring right
know.
at that ass.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Have you guys seen anything in theaters recently?
Ah,
Uh,
I have to say
Deadpool was the last. Yeah.
I have to say no, and I have to
Yeah.
say that I apologize for the makers of Deadpool for streaming their movie online. It's not illegal. The people who are uploading it is illegal. I'm just watching the stream.
Oh, yeah.
And I only do that because I know I'm going to go ahead and buy the Blu-ray. So get off my back. I'm giving you guys a lot of money still. I love you guys.
Dude, I saw
I'll
it
tip you
twice in
guys.
theater. I've given them enough money. They should have given me a Blu-ray when I walked out
Exactly. And a poster with a trading card.
with a trading card and potentially a comic, because that'd be awesome. Because comics are
Autographed
crazy
style.
expensive. Which leads me into my next topic: is comics being crazy expensive.
Oh man, what is the going rate these days?
Four
Six
bucks.
Yeah.
bucks? $4?
Ugh.
Yeah, man, 50 cents back in my day. Oh.
No, I mean I buy comics every week, and I sometimes will take a week off, but my stuff will still be in a pull list, and then I show up to the shop, and it's like $60 to
A
pick up
week?
2 weeks.
$60 every 2 weeks?
I pick up a lot though. I mean
You
that's
know,
that's my own fault.
you know
Do you
how
buy a lot of these like physically? Like you're going to an actual shop
I go
still?
into an actual store and buy actual stuff.
Wow, jeez.
I mean I enjoy the local small business type of
Yeah,
business
yeah,
customer relationship kind of stuff.
yeah.
It's cool. I mean, I if they're the same price for me to buy physically or digitally, I'm just gonna buy the
Yeah.
physical. It's simple as that.
Well, that's one thing I never understood is why the price is the same.
Yeah, it is kind of weird.
Yeah.
You think it'd be like a buck cheaper? I know a lot of DC comics are actually $3, which that's fair.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but for the cost for it to to print all that color and to hire all the artists and writers and stuff like that, it's a lot. But it's weird to put it in perspective of like how much a movie costs versus how
Hmm.
much a comic costs. There's far less people involved.
Yeah.
It's a far shorter experience. There's not a whole lot to a comic book yet. They cost $4 when the DVD costs like $15. It's kind of weird.
and I had a good sized tote bag, my infamous tote bag of comics still in my closet. And I took that to trade them in one day for cash just because I was down in the dumps that day. And I went into the comic book shop. The guy lays out all the comics. He kind of points to each one, does a little math in his head. Then he takes them all, put them in the bundle, back in the tote bag. I'll give you 10.50. $10.50.
Yeah.
Now, if that says anything, is that I have a horrible taste in comics. But if it says something else, that means prices have gone pretty high.
No, definitely. I mean, it's it's
Because
not.
these are not like old. I mean, they're relatively new comics when I got them. So for them to drop in value like that, like wait a minute here, what's
Well, I
going
think
on?
there's a public false preconception when it comes to comic books and how much they actually would cost for you to sell them, because people naturally
Mm.
think, oh well, if I buy this comic, it'll be worth something someday, and 99.99% of the time they're absolutely not. You're gonna get the same price, if that, for for a physical comic book that you bought 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Obviously, it depends on what it is. Like the Death of Superman you were talking about last week, you buy it for the same price you bought it for back when it came out. I mean,
Huh.
if not less.
Right. Yeah.
It is very weird precedence, because it's there's the thought that, well, Amazing Fantasy 15, the first appearance of Spider-Man was, you can sell that and live off that for generations. You know, it's it's kind of weird.
Yeah. Well, and I think, you know, growing up in sort of the 90s and stuff, that suddenly comics were selling for these sort of outrageous amounts, like, you know, the Superman, the Action comics selling for outrageous amounts. People thought for a moment that if I buy all these comics, it will be this magical investment in the future that will turn into $1 million like overnight, you know. And what people realize now is just that there's select items throughout the years that are actually worth some money, and
Yeah, very select.
actually, yeah. And it's
Especially, oh, sorry, go ahead.
well, and it's kind of hard to predict which one it's going to be, which episode or which issue is going to be the big hot seller 30 years from now.
Yeah, and I think you don't even know. I mean,
Mm.
characters can spike in popularity years down the line. You know,
Mm-hmm.
after it's been published. You know, it's kind of it is very hard to predict that. But have
Well,
you guys?
especially when it comes to the origins of characters, because you look at, I could throw any character in there, whatever, Spider-Man #1, and then a Spider-Man 32 or some rather number where Doctor Octopus is introduced and it's even more rare and less people bought it, so there's not too
Mm-hmm.
much out there, and that's the one that goes through the roof.
Yeah, no, definitely. When's the last? Have you guys gone into like a comic shop recently? Do you have one by you? I know you do. Like LT, you got the best one in the country,
Yeah,
Midtown Comics.
that might have been the one where I was crushingly disappointed with my haul. I
Your
haven't been
not
in
so big of a
years.
haul.
My wee little tote bag.
Yeah, I'm in a small town, and there's nothing of that nature around me. That's for sure. So most of my content is digital these days. That's for sure. Which is actually kind of nice in situations like this.
Oh, definitely. It is. It's a really great alternative to people who don't have a shop near them. I have the option. I choose to take it because I love supporting those local shops. I mean, I
Hmm.
would much rather buy something from a local shop than just a Walmart or something crazy like that. But you know,
Yeah.
Would you consider Midtown Comics the Walmart to comic book local shops, though?
it's as
Or
close as you're gonna get. I mean, it's not.
mm,
There is no Walmart for comic shops. It's all independent, local kind of stuff. I mean,
Amazon?
Mm.
the one by me is there's like 3 or 4 locations, and that's the only one I really know of that's that diverse.
But let me
Yeah.
ask you another question then. Is there a section in the back of these stores, sectioned off by beads that are hanging down?
Oh
And
boy, no,
maybe a little saloon door?
no,
No?
no.
You don't frequent these shops? Hmm?
No. I think what you're referring to is illegal for kids to go in.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's not like a Blockbuster where they got stuff in the back.
Bummer.
Yeah. So you and I was looking for that. Yeah, I was looking for that Bone series that you were talking about last week, and I couldn't find it. I was kind of disappointed because it sounded really interesting. And then I started doing some
Yeah.
research into it. Turns out it's pretty popular, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was, I think, like 52 or so issues that then got serialized and turned into like a 6 volume book set. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm enjoying going back and reading it again. That's for sure. I'm on book 2 right now, so
Nothing to do with the TV show, right?
nothing.
The TV show
No,
Bones.
no,
I don't know. I'm just
no.
casual.
They they exist in 2 separate universes, so that's for sure.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't recall seeing a commercial for Bones where there's cartoon characters. Isn't that like a like one of those crime kind of shows?
Yeah, where she analyzes bones most of the time.
That
Ugh.
sounds extremely boring. I'm sure people enjoy it though.
To the bone lab.
The bone.
How charming.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Other than that, I'll be honest. My comic reading has kind of fallen to the wayside in the last few years. I don't know. It's hard to keep up with. It's hard to keep up with what's going on out there.
For
Bills.
sure. there's constant restarts and reboots.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had DC just had one a couple of years ago. The new 52, which they've kind of dropped the name on, already doing like it's called DC Rebirth, which is
Oh my
like
god.
it's not like a full on restart like the new 52 was, but basically the stuff that was working, they're tweaking, and the stuff that uh, wasn't, they're just kind of cutting out. It's kind of ridiculous because if you want to get into comics, it's so easy. It's you find a character that you like and you just hop in. That's what they're designed to be like. They're designed for you to hop in with these. I mean, story arcs don't really last more than 6 issues. I mean, some of them
Hmm.
go longer than that, but
And there's a lot of retreading in each issue too. So
oh yeah, I mean that's why they have a recap page.
yeah.
So I don't really understand why. I mean, sales wise, they get a lot more money for doing number ones, but I've been rereading, or not rereading. I've been reading the new Daredevil series, which is actually really cool. The art is really interesting because it kind of really plays into Daredevil's sort of tone. And all the colors are in black and red, and like shades of like whitish kind of red, and
Oh,
it's really cool. It's very kind of dark, and if you like the show, it's a great hopping or jumping on point for especially for new readers. But yeah, that Marvel Unlimited app though, I mean that's the way
yeah.
that's the way comics should be read.
Yeah.
It's
I
great.
I think that's gonna be my option. That's for sure.
Yeah, unless you're like me and you just buy just a ton of physical issues, and you just have piles and piles. If you don't have the space, I mean, it's a great alternative.
You are the last and the best version of your kind. You physical reader.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
people in those shops, though. I was surprised. Standing in line, there's quite a few people that still buy physical comic books.
Good.
Some call them men, I call them heroes.
What I noticed though is in a lot of the comic shops, there's also a lot of board games. Like board games have come back. I mean, there's a lot.
Huge.
Like
Board
yeah,
Huge.
games.
like
Oh yeah.
Like
There's whole
Jenga,
like board game cafes that you can go to now, and
where you can play Jenga.
yeah.
I love
dude,
Jenga.
it's advanced in just astronomical proportions because
Yeah.
I didn't even know. And over the summer, a buddy of mine was introducing me to a bunch of different board games, and I was surprised at how many he had. And I'm like, well, what? Why do you have so many board games? And he's like, dude, I spent like over $1,000 on board games,
Oh shit.
and well, I mean,
Yeah.
he's a pretty
Board
social person,
games,
so
card games,
oh,
all of those are coming back.
it's great because especially in the day and age of the internet where no one likes to interact with each other not that personal of a level. I mean, we're doing this podcast on Skype for God's sake. I mean,
Damn
but
right we are, or my name is an LT.
it's what it says on your birth certificate, so it's true. Uh, but yeah, board game, like there's a lot of cool board games that have come out, and there's a Marvel one called Legendary. It's like a deck building game where you basically form your own team and you can recruit like a lot of the bigger heroes like Wolverine, Deadpool, obviously, Spider-Man. It's really cool. Like there's so many out there, and especially most of them coming from more independent creators. There's a
Mm.
lot of cool stuff.
Well, look at Kickstarter for things
Oh
like that.
yeah.
Like that's where Cards Humanity got its start. There was that new one, Exploding Kittens, that has like
Jesus.
the number one record on Kickstarter for the most backed game. Yeah.
No, it's definitely interesting to see why that is. Is it just
Yeah.
Exploding kittens.
Yes.
Did I
Check
hear
it
that
out.
right?
Oh yes.
yeah?
Yeah,
All
you
right.
gotta
Well,
keep the kittens from exploding by using tactical lasers and taco cats and
well then I think I'll go ahead and use this podcast to announce my new Kickstarter, Decapitating Babies.
Oh,
whoa.
Let's do this, guys.
not human though, right? It's
Yeah.
alien babies, maybe.
Yeah,
Not human.
exactly. No, ant babies, exactly.
Oh,
But they're like radioactive and they're gonna bite your head off, so you have to decapitate them. What do you tell you? Well, humans? Are you serious? I wouldn't dare.
You could put anything on Kickstarter and possibly be successful. I mean, there's that guy who sold potato salad off of
or
Kickstarter.
or no, that was GoFundMe
Oh, was
so
it?
that he could make potato
Oh, shit.
salad. Yeah.
With his special
Hey.
sauce.
He ended up getting like $10,000 or something
Oh my
ridiculous like that.
gosh! I mean,
10 grand off his homemade mayo.
Yeah.
God.
Easy.
What? Get your head out the gutter, boys.
Oh man. Well, is there anything else you guys want to add before we wrap this up?
Well,
The
it's
theme
my
song.
Canadian 2 cents.
Oh, there you go. How much is that?
That's like
A
a
million lira.
hay penny in US dollars.
Very
I just
nice.
throw those away. I just throw pennies away. There's no point.
We got rid
Yep.
of them in Canada.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
because you guys are
guys
smart.
lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, smart Canadians.
It costs more to make the penny than what it costs.
Yeah,
You,
it's.
you smart Canadians, oi.
But I'm sure there's like,
Hey,
Hey.
one guy. It's like, if you get rid of the penny, I'm gonna shoot everybody in that treasury. It's like,
yep.
it's crazy. All
Pretty
right,
much.
guys. Well,
I
thanks.
guess I'll have to wrap it up by saying, props to the wonderful 80s masterpiece, Masters of the Universe, for which today's theme was provided by.
I'm glad you said that because
Starring Dolph Lundgren, starring Courtney Cox, and a whole bunch of funky ass makeup and a werewolf man.
Masters of the Universe.
Masters of the Universe, I have the power.
All right, LT, why don't you take us away, man? Thanks for listening to episode 2 of Smirk Not Work. Please join us again. Don't be put off by the Masters of the Universe. I'll see you guys later.